Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to What Up Clegg. This channel we talk about all kinds of things, or fixing things, building things, maintaining things, product reviews, or anything that comes across my desk. Now you ask what this mess is? This mess here, these are the tools that I use to test my motors and tune the motors and so on. When I'm talking about motors, I'm talking about the RC brushless motors. I had a lot of people asking what brand I use, why I use it, and where I got it. So let's go ahead and I'll break everything down in this video and let's go learn something. Alright, first up, I'll go over the tuner that I use. This right here is the Hobby Wing Tunalizer. It's one of the newer models out of the tuners. It's the only one that Hobby Wing has out. They do have other brands out there, such as the Trinity, which is also a good one, and some other brands. But the reason why I chose the Hobby Wing is this one here, the Hobby Wing Tunalizer, has a regulated power supply. As you see right here, the battery, which is this battery right here, which is the this is a Redline, Gen Ace Redline, 4,000 milliamp hour battery. High voltage, 7.6 volt. Now, this right here is putting out 8.2 volts. Well, I can regulate that to do 7.4 volt, which is a 2S, or a 3.4 volt. Whoops, 3.4 volt, which is a 1S. What's nice about that, if you have the same power going to the motors when you're testing them, you're going to end up testing apples to apples. Perfect example. You have your regular voltage batteries, like this one here, 7.4 volt. People are paying a lot more money to have the high volt battery, and it's only 0.2 volts more, because it gives you that little extra punch. So imagine if you're testing motors, you have two motors testing side by side, and you go through one test on a motor and it's 8.4 volts, and then you go and test the next motor and it's 8.2 volts. Obviously the 8.4 volt motor is going to have a lot better numbers, and perform a lot better than testing another motor with less voltage. So that's better when you're doing apples to apples. This unit here does not have printer connections or anything like that. The Trinity one and other ones, you can hook them up to printers, but that I don't care about. The biggest reason why I bought this one here is because it has a regulated voltage on it. I could get the other ones, and I could use a power supply to hook that up, but they're not always accurate. They're not always the same. If you're 0.2 volts off, you're going to get a different reading. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if this right here is going to be exactly the same, but I have to go by what it says, right? Anyhow, this is the Hobby Wing Tunalizer. This thing does a lot of other things. You can hook up an ESC to it and control an ESC through it, and whatever. But yeah, that's not what I use this for. I use it strictly for testing motors. I could test the get the KVs off from the RPMs, the current draw, and tuning it, the motor with the degrees and so on. But yeah, Hobby Wing Tunalizer, that's the tuner I use. Next up I use is the WMH Racing, it's called the Rotor Master. This is what I use for testing rotors on. This is one of his, this is last gen. He has a newer design out now. I don't believe he comes in different colors now anymore. I think he's out, so I don't know, we talked to him, maybe he'll come back out and start doing the different colors again. I really like this pearl blue with the white back on it. These here Again, they do have others out on the market, and all the other ones are really good. There's nothing I can say that this one is really better than the other ones that are out there, except for this one here. This is, I believe, these are like 80 bucks. And the other ones are around 160, I believe, 150, 160, somewhere around there. And it all does the same exact thing. How this one works here is, plug it in. Grab a rotor here and try it out. So how this thing works, you zoom in, get a more better look at it. So you have, when you put the rotor in here, you have a negative, and then there'll be a number. There'll be a minus and then the number. And then you spin it the other side and there's no minus. So if there's a minus, that's north side. Without the minus, that's south side. You have 3 numbers up here. You have 1, 2, 3 going up and down, and 2 numbers going across. The numbers on this side, that's real time. The numbers over here, that is the highest reading that it has. The thing is with this version here is if you just lightly put weight on it, you can see how that I'm just barely touching the top and the numbers change. The newer version, you don't have that issue, but that also happens on the other brands out there too. You know, you touch them and it does that. But how this works is you have a top number and a bottom number and a middle number. You want the top number and the bottom number to be basically within like 50 to 75 points of each other. They don't have to be exact because, well, I'll show you here. So let's say right about there is pretty much exact. 734 and 7 when I was jumping all over the place, 740. But anyways, it's exact. Now, watch the middle number as I move this to the sides. It doesn't change it. Well, it's changing because the stupid thing is turning. But the numbers don't change that much. So let's go to a high number here. This number is reading about 1500. So if I slide over, see, they're off by about 200 points right now, and I'm still getting the same readings. So you see, but anyhow, this is the Rotor Master. It's excellent. What's good about this is it reads the Gauss on the rotor. It'll let you know how powerful the rotor is, and that's very important, especially if you're looking for a really torquey motor and you want to compare your rotors. Definitely got to get one of these. Again, this right here is from WMH Racing. So, alright, that's the Rotor Master. Let's go on to the next component. Okay, this one here. This is the Load Master. This is what I use to test basically the torque of the motor. This right here, what you do is you have a slave motor. You slide it on this side. Then the motor that you're testing, you come and you slide it on this side, and then you screw down the collar, stuff like that. Well, when this one right here spins, when this motor over here spins, it causes this motor over here to spin. Well, when this one spins, it generates electricity. Then you have resistors on the other end to, basically that's what's causing it to generate the electricity, and it puts a load. Well, it generates electricity, the resistors puts a load on the motor, which then makes it harder for this motor to spin. And then that's how you tell approximately how torquey a motor is if it's struggles real hard to turn this motor. What's nice, really nice about this unit here also is you see how I just snap these motors in. These right here plug into my hobby wing tunalizer, and instead of having alligator clips to hook onto the motors, there are little tabs, little spring tabs on the bottom, and these right here are what makes contact with the tabs on the motor. That's what makes it really nice, because when using clips, you see how close, I'm sure some of you guys have seen it before, but see how close these tabs are to the can. So you try to put a clip on there, alligator clips on there, you can see how close that is to the can. And yes, sometimes they will short out and to the can and whatever, and not work very well. So, and then when you're sitting there trying to hook up multiple wires to it, it's already hard just trying to do this test on it. So usually what happens is you'll have one that goes off to the side over here, and you put another one off to the side here, and then you have another one that goes in the middle like this. Well, if it's just a pain in the butt. You see how they turn, sometimes they touch, whatever. But yeah, so this right here, you just put them in, snap them in. Now he does this right here is also from WMH Racing. It's called the Load Master. He does have a motor stand that doesn't have this load section over here. It's just a stand. This Load Master here, I believe, is about $120. It comes with the resistors. That's a 1 ohm resistor and the 2 ohm resistors for different types of motor loads. But he has a motor stand. I believe it's like 30 or 40 bucks. I think it's around 40 bucks. But anyways, it's just, yeah, it doesn't have this part. It's good for putting your motor in it, testing your motors and stuff like that, because, I mean, just pop in like that and you're ready to go. So that's the Rotor Master. The slave motor that I use is the Surpassed Lightweight. This is a pretty torquey motor, so it's going to put a pretty decent draw on any motor that spins it. I use this motor. It's brand new. It's never been installed in the car, never been soldered in or anything like that. I use this one on every single motor that I test. So again, I'm testing apples to apples. When I'm doing my test, like I said, I like to try to be as accurate as possible. You put them all through the same scenarios as possible, and so on. So, all right, let's move on to my next tool I have. Okay, if you work on motors at all, you take a motor apart, you do anything with these brushless motors, or I mean even brush motors for that matter, this is nice, because this is a nice little stand you have here. If you have your motor, you're taking your motor apart, gives you a place to put all your parts. Little tray here, put your screws in, put your shims in, whatever. This right here, this is what makes this stand the greatest. This is a rotor tool. It's for helping you to take the rotors out of the motor and to put it back in. So how it works, there's a little nice stand right there for it too. How it works is, if you try to pull your rotor out, with a lot of the motors now, they have really strong rotors. The magnets are really strong. So you're over here trying to pull these suckers out, and they're just really tight. sometimes you have to grab pliers or something like that to pull them out, because that shaft is really small, your hands might be sweaty or whatever, and you're trying to pull it out and your hands just slip off. This right here, you just do this, you just put it on there and you slide it around the rotor. Yep, you gotta shove it in there. You shove it in there around the rotor, and then the rotor just comes out like that. That's it. So now, this is probably the greatest part about this tool, is when you put a rotor back in. As some of you know, you put it in and it just snaps back in, and it never lines up with the hole on the bearing. So you're sitting there trying to move this thing around, move it back forth, trying to get it go inside that hole, and during that time you're holding it on here and your fingers are getting sore, whatever. Well, this right here, you just put this thing in here, take the rotor like this, it just snaps in, and it's in the hole. See that? See right there? The rotor goes right straight into the hole. There's no more trying to line that sucker up. Pull that out, put your shims on, do whatever you're going to do, and then yeah, it's like I said, it's a great little tool. If you're using it for testing motors, if you're using it for cleaning your motors, whatever, get a little spot right there to put your parts in. Another hole slot right here to put, if you have the long screws for the motors, you can put the screws in there. And rotor, if you see in here, it's a little hole down there, so you put your rotor in there and it'll hold your rotor in there, and it'll suck everything up too at the same time. It's too close, but yeah, excellent tool. This is one of the nicer ones that I have, one of my favorite ones that I have. So this is from WMH Racing. These are $20, I believe they are. So yeah, excellent tool. So all right, let's get on to the next thing. Last but not least, this right here is the tray for the Load Master. I'm testing the Load Master using the tunalizer. This right here is the tray. This, if you notice that the tunalizer, it has these, well, let me move that. See, it has these legs right here. Well, those, it has little cutouts right here, and I mean, it fits in there perfect. See, I'm holding this, and the tunalizer fits in there just perfect. Fits in like snug, just, I don't know more to say, it's perfect fit. And then you have the tunalizer fits in the tray here, and it fits pretty tight. As you can see, I can almost lift it. Wires here, they plug in on the top, and then you have the power wires, and then you have the sensor port, and the sensor wire plugs in. It's out of the way, none of the wires get mixed up in here. You've seen me use it in videos. Now, I don't use this too much in videos because, as you can see, you can't see the screen. The screen's right here. So in order for you guys to see it, I have to tilt it like this. So but when I'm just tuning motors for friends or whatever, I'll have this thing mounted here just like this, and it's awesome. Read everything, don't have to hold it down like this and have wires going around. It's real nice and clean. So anyhow, this tray right here, as you can see, it's from WMH Racing. So let me go ahead and you know what, let me take you to the site. Let me take you to the WMH Racing site and show you what he has over there. So here we are at the WMH Racing website. As you see up here, you just type in WMHRacing.com. You see the logo that you've seen on all my on some of my components over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at all products. Show you what he has. So he has stuff on here for not just 540, 110 motors, for 110 cars and stuff like that. He also has products on here for 550 motors, which you'll usually see on like 1/8 scale cars, stuff like that. So here you see he has buggy stands right there. Here's the motor mount or motor stand for the 550 motor. Now make sure when you order one, you look at the 550 right here. This right here is a load master for the 550 motors. One of these days I'll get into testing bigger motors. Right now, it costs enough money right now just to keep up with the 110 motors. Okay, this right here is for the 540. This right here is $40. The 550 stand is $45. So this is for the 540. It doesn't say 540, but it is. This is the 540s are the ones that the 110 cars have. This right here is for the motorizer, Sky RC, the stand, and then of course the tunalizer. $25 for the stand for the tunalizer. I don't think I mentioned that in the video. Another base. Now this stand here. Now when you buy the Load Master does not come with a stand for the resistors. It just comes with the resistors. I have to show it, unless he's now added on there, but maybe the new versions do. The version I have did not have the stand on it. So if you didn't get it without the stand, that's the way they are. Here's a Load Master. Let's click on that and let's see what they have here. Yeah, the Load Master does not come with the stand for the resistors. And what's also nice, the new version now, he has the color-coded wires to hook into your motor tuner and so on. So, and you give them in different colors also. That's $120 for the Load Master. This right here is a motor assembly stand. These right here are the Rotor Masters. And he has Rotor Master for the 550 as well. So, which is nice. And I think that's all the components he has. So yeah, that's the WMH Racing. All these components here, they're 3D, all the plastics are all 3D printed. He actually makes all these components by hand. He does all the soldering and everything else, assemblies, everything. He does it in-house in the US by hand. And yeah, he's a busy man. So all right, let's get back to the to showing the components. All right, so that's pretty much all the equipment I use. I am in the process of working on another type of a device to better compare motors. I really like comparing motors because I know for years since I got into the racing back in the well, gee whiz, back in the 80s, goes to show my age. But I was a teenager back then. Even still shows my age. Anyhow, with all the motors I've ever used throughout racing, I've always wondered which one is truly better. I see them on the dynos, I see the dyno runs, but then when you put them on the track, they don't necessarily run the way I thought they would work after seeing them run on a dyno. Now, dyno is good. Dyno is really good. It lets you know torque and stuff like that, but when you're comparing the motors side by side, how would they, after you get done tuning them, how would they actually perform on the track? That's the one I'm trying to get to figure out. These right here help me figure it out. I've pretty much looked at the numbers long enough and played with motors long enough to see how those numbers work out together and see how the motors, understand how the motor is going to operate on the track. But I'm currently working on another tool, device, whatever you want to call it, to help compare motors better, apples to apples, let you know which one has most torque, which one's going to overheat, which at a certain RPM, certain speed, so on and so forth. That's the biggest clue. But for now, this is what I have. This is what I use. Stay tuned. There's going to be more tuning coming out, more motor tuning coming out, comparisons and so on. I hope this video right here was helpful for you. I hope you learned something. I hope I was able to help you understand this equipment a little bit better. But yeah, if you guys like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe. If you didn't like the video, subscribe anyway, just so you can watch all my other videos and make fun of me. Alright everybody, you have a good night, and we'll see you on the next video.